What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Sloppy Saturdays. And today we are going over apparently Jeremiah Smith getting over $10+ million in NIL offers from the outside of Ohio State, other programs to join their program. Right now, this is a massive jump because Jeremiah Smith's NIL projected earnings is $4.2 million a year. A $10 million plus a year deal is more than double that. So that's insane to me. Right now, the current NIL rankings for a year right now is Arch Manning 5.4, Jeremiah 4.2, Sam Levitt 4.0 from LSU. We know that was a huge transfer portal deal. Brendan Scoresby, another guy we know, Texas Tech with oil money 3.1. Bryce Underwood 3.1 as well. We know that was a groundbreaking deal as well. So $10 million plus would completely rechange and basically reshape the NIL market. Now, I do believe NIL is going to be very similar to how the NFL, MLB, NBA is all major sports in the sense that it's going to take massive jumps every 5 years. So I do believe one day we're going to get to a point where a player is going to be making $10+ million a year and then in NIL for sure, especially just with how much these programs have with their billion-dollar endorsers and everything. Definitely think that's a possibility. The craziest thing about this NIL deal to me, Jeremiah Smith possibly getting $10+ million, is one of the rumored schools was Miami. Now, I don't have anything in the sense of what was collective, what was an endorsement, the split, but him going to Miami would have been absolutely crazy and something that I could have actually seen happen. We talked about how Jeremiah Smith is a Florida boy. We also talked about how burnable he is and that he was really heavily considering Miami in his recruitment and how he always wanted to play for Miami. So the fact that they offered him more than double, and you're going to a program that I don't know if it's equal, but it's pretty equal in the sense of developing receivers. Like you're going to another major program that we see how the development is going. I feel like Jeremiah Smith might have considered this. Now, am I happy he didn't do this? I am 100% happy. First of all, Jeremiah Smith, he's going to be a top 3 pick in next year's draft. We're looking at a guy that's going to get probably $40 million collectively from the NFL. He doesn't need to take a bag, whether it's, $6-7 million more, which is a lot of money. He doesn't need to do it. I think it's also so influential that he did not do this because he could go down as the greatest Buckeye possibly of all time. I know we're talking about people that have multiple Heisman trophies, national championships, whatever the case may be, and Jeremiah Smith probably isn't going to win a Heisman trophy out of position, even though I do think that can be interesting this year. And then you're also looking at national championship. He is a national champion his true freshman year. Where he ranks on this Ohio State list compared to Ohio State receivers, he is absolutely going to crush some of these categories. When we look at Jeremiah Smith right now, he is 6th in Ohio State in receiving at 2,558 yards. When we look at the leader, it is Emeka Egbuka at 2,800 yards. What makes Jeremiah Smith so interesting compared to everybody basically in front of him, now Marvin Harrison Jr. is in front of him. He played 3 years. But Jeremiah Smith is playing 3 years. A lot of these guys, like Emeka Egbuka, like a Chris Olave, they are playing 4 years in college to get that. And Jeremiah Smith is absolutely going to crush them. He turned into, 1,000, 1,200 yard receiver this year, which is probably going to be even more than that. He's at 3,700 yards. He's going to be 1,000 yards pretty much above the next person when it comes to top receiving. He's going to go down by far as the greatest Ohio State wide receiver of all time. And also why he's going to come down to the greatest wide receiver of all time. Because when you look at guys like Chris Olave, Emeka Egbuka, Marvin Harrison Jr., those are the guys that we look at, even Michael Jenkins. There's a lot of guys that we look at where they either play 4 years in college or their first year is a complete wash. When we look at Jeremiah Smith, which separates him from all these players, Jeremiah Smith's first year, Ohio State won a national championship. We saw Jeremiah Smith ice that game on a go ball route. He was unguardable the second half of that year when he really fully learned the playbook. I mean, he was really unguardable the whole year, but the second half of the year, I believe he really turned it up. And you could have argued he was the best player on that national championship winning team as a true freshman. Like I said, Emeka Egbuka, Marvin Harrison Jr., Chris Olave, these guys' freshman seasons, they were stuck behind the depth chart. Their freshman seasons were a wash. I mean, we're looking at under 300 yards for all these guys in their freshman season. So Jeremiah Smith to be, a number one receiver, arguably the best player on this Ohio State team from the day he walked into Ohio State to the day he left, that makes him arguably, in my opinion, the best Buckeye of all time, depending how the season goes. Like I said, I think it is a great decision by Jeremiah Smith that he did not accept $10 million to go elsewhere. Because when we look at Ohio State being the pinnacle for wide receivers. He could go down as the best receiver of all time. Like I said, I don't even think it really came down to development, because if he would have went to a school like Miami, they have great development. And then when you look at also contending wise, Miami was in the national championship last year. Again, I'm just floating Miami in because that's the real destination that I know offered him this $10+ million. I know there were other schools, but that's the choice that he would have really went to, and that was the rumor. But the guy doesn't need the money. I believe it's all about legacy. Jeremiah Smith is going to go down as one of the best college players of all time. A guy at Ohio State that could have the argument as the best Buckeye of all time. I know it's going to be tough for him to win a Heisman Trophy. I do think it's possible this year, but at his position, it's super tough. Like, he's going to shatter records, even the touchdown records. Touchdown record is going to be tough because it's 36 by Chris Olave. It's not going to be tough. He has 27 right now. He's going to need double-digit touchdowns. Again, he's going to need 10 touchdowns to break it. Definitely possible. He's probably going to do that as well. And then when you look at receptions, I believe he's absolutely going to shatter receptions. Receptions goes to Emeka Buka at 205. Jeremiah Smith has 163. He needs 60. My math's so bad. 63 receptions. I think he's going to have receptions, yards, touchdowns. And again, the thing that separates Jeremiah Smith compared to basically every receiver in front of him, this guy's freshman year, you could argue he was the best player in the country by the time that season ended and was the biggest player arguably on their national championship team. Jeremiah Smith made the complete right choice. Don't go after the bag. Go after your legacy. You're going to be a top-tier pick next year. You could argue you could possibly be the number one pick depending on who has it. If the Raiders get the number one pick next year, they would probably go him. So it depends. Like, $40+ million deal. You do not need another extra $7 million. Make your legacy at Ohio State, and you have a chance with Ohio State to definitely win another national championship. We know that for sure. You're paired up with an absolute stud in Julian Sain, who I believe could be the best quarterback in the country, and he could be the one helping you finish off all these records at Ohio State. That wraps up this episode of Sloppy Saturdays, this little micropod. Drop down below. How ridiculous do you think this $10 million that was apparently offered to Jeremiah Smith is when we look at Arch Manning getting $5.4 million as the number one guy, doubling that? Absolutely crazy. If you were Jeremiah Smith, would you would have left? Would you would have stayed? Drop down your comments below. And Sloppy Saturdays is